Welcome to another edition of Rugby League Down South. Coming up on the programme, Chairman David Hughes says Broncos have built a better squad for 2015 than they had in 2014. Coach Joey Grima talks of the 2015 shirt being another peace offering to reconnect with the club's fans. On-field co-captain Richard Mathers talks of his reasoning for joining, while new hooker Ray Nasso talks of his arrival in London. Assistant coach Andrew Henderson gives a fair assessment of pre-season calibre on show, and Oscar Thomas tells of his surprise at being back with the club. And why become the club's new shirt sponsor? Mark Taylor from Towergate Insurance tells us so. Welcome to the special about Broncos Kit Launch for 2015. The squad were down at Tower Bridge. I'm sure you've seen the pictures. I went down there and did a few interviews with various people, whoever would be so kind to talk to me. Well, to be fair, whoever I asked, they all said yes. And as of course, I did video these interviews. So currently trying to upload the footage to YouTube, and hopefully we can have a bit of a video podcast for this podcast as well. So if you are listening on Spreaker the usual way, or on iTunes, or however you listen to this podcast, you can see the interviews. Not that there's anything spectacular that happens, but if you ever wanted to see what it looked like, or there is one in particular, Richard Mathers, that you may want to see in vision as such, so you can do that on YouTube. Hopefully that will be up around the same time that this gets published as well. So the first man that I spoke to down at the shirt launch was in fact the chairman and owner, David Hughes. The headline from the interview is that he admits that the squad for this coming season is better than what they assembled for the season in Super League in 2014. And, as you'll hear, there's no mistake as to what he wants: a return to the top flight soon as. David, first of all, you must be very excited looking ahead to this new season.
Yeah, really excited, we're all ready to go. Everybody who's been there since the 1st of November, 26-man squad, all signed. New assistant coach, Joey's dead chuffed. We've got a great start from the 1st of November. Very new squad, very different squad, probably 18 new personnel there, some with really great names. We're looking forward to the championship. We give a good account of ourselves.
As an owner, have you got a different feeling this year? Because for the last few years you must have been going into the season knowing it was going to be tough, but this year things look a lot better.
Yeah. Well, for sure, this squad we've assembled this year is better than the Super League squad we had last year, and I think everybody, every pundit, every expert will see that. So I'm quite excited about that. What I do want is for our fans to see us winning a lot more and get into the washing machine, Nigel's washing machine, throw a bit of Daz in there and win it and get back in Super League this year. And I think the squad's perfectly capable of doing that.
So is that your aim, promotion this season?
Massively, and we'll be thereabouts. And, I don't underestimate Bradford, I don't underestimate Lee. I think the three full-time clubs are probably favourites. We've just got to be better than them, and we have to knock over a Super League team for sure in the washing machine.
Are you excited about the new format for the end of the season, the Super 8? It's like you say, when it comes down to it, realistically your season could go down to one game or one game within those Super 8.
It can, and it makes a big difference, with the Sky money and stuff like that. But I'm excited, and I've got big expectations. Yes.
And in terms of being in the Championship, for many a year people said this club had to be in the Super League. If Rugby League in London is going to work, it has to be in the Super League. Was that your opinion? Have people changed their mind? Can it still work now?
I think, I have to say, I don't think we deserve to be in Super League with the results we've had. So we have to find, a lot of people say, find your feet, start from the bottom and work up. It's happened with other clubs, and it has to happen with ourselves. We've got a lot of good young kids coming through, really good kids who are developing now. So that plus the squad we've assembled, I think we'll find our true position this coming season.
And what about the business side of things? Because you've got many sponsors on your shirt. The club seems to be in a much better state now than it obviously was. I mean, it was pretty much exactly 12 months ago that you managed to avoid administration to within 2 days of today, and I mean, look where the club is now. I think we've talked about last year, and we started too late, and you don't pay enough respect to Super League in doing that. This year we're tackling it full on, fully professional. We've got some great new sponsors, credit to our marketing team, and we're raring to go, really. How important was it that you stayed full time for this year with the ambition that you have?
No disrespect to the part-time clubs, but credit to people like Lee and Featherstone last year. But it's essential, I think. If you're any ambition to get back in Super League, you've got to be full-time.
And for you, with the club and the ownership and the future, it always comes up as a question, how long you're prepared to support them for, when you'll be looking for new investment. As far as you're concerned, I mean, can you look too far into the future like that?
Well, look at my hair. It's gone grey overnight, but no, I don't look. I look far ahead. I'm committed. We've signed the squad for 2 years. I'm committed to do that, and we have to see how we go. But I'm there forever. I've been there since 1996 throughout, with the Morantas and the Bransons and whatever. So yeah, I'm still there.
And you say that you're here for 2 years to support this squad. If they are back in Super League, that's surely going to reignite more of a fire inside you as well.
Well, what I meant is that a lot of the club players have signed for 2 years. You respect that, but my ambition is to get back in Super League and be there for the next 10 years. Yeah.
Can they do it this year?
I massively think so, but I don't underestimate the Bradfords and the Lees at all. We pay them respect. We've got a great coach, a great assistant coach in Andrew Henderson, who knows the Championship inside out. That's a big advantage for Joey as well. Yes, I think we can do it.
Always good to chat to the chairman, David Hughes. Doesn't happen very often, particularly on camera as well. But he's, I dare say, optimistic isn't the word. Happy? He's always been realistic whenever I've spoken to him, particularly, of course, off the record. But I get the funny feeling that this year, whatever he is saying on the record is the same as off the record. Very, very happy and confident about what the Broncos could achieve in 2014. And I think potentially, it sounds really silly, but maybe the relegation, and as he says, it's what the club deserve. But I think it's reconnected something within him and given him another drive, because he can see the team winning in 2015. And I think that many fans feel the same way too. Plenty of them down on the little bit of grass next to the City of London, next to City Hall, I should say, the home of Boris Johnson for his working life, next to Tower Bridge. But yeah, many fans down there to see what the new shirt looked like, and many of them were very, very happy, of course, saying that these chats taking place in the fantastic backdrop of Tower Bridge. I did as well, like I say, intend it to be a video podcast, so you can check out these videos on YouTube as well. Just do a search for Rugby League Down South. I'm sure you'll find it, or do a search for my name, of course. But there were, of course, there to launch their home strip for 2015, the 35th season for the club. You'll have seen as well the return to pretty much what was the Fulham kit in 1980. It's the subject where I started my chat with the head coach, Joey Grima. Joey, first of all, let's mention the shirt. I mean, a bit of a tip of the hat to 1980 and a bit of the club's heritage this season.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where we want to sort of take our club, Ramo, is that we want to give back to what the club's given us now. Fast forward 35 years, and, we thought, what's the best thing for our supporters and for our club, and what better to go back to our roots and start all over again. We've been the club that stripped everything back from coaching fundamentals, and I thought, why not strip it back? And David and Jason agreed, and we went for the old Fulham strip.
I mean, people have mentioned it over the years, particularly with the troubled times that have happened, a bit of a disconnect with the fans, and this seems like a real sort of go-get to reconnect with things that have been in the past, and to say, we are this club, and, almost like we're starting again. There is a new vibe around, isn't there? And this is all sort of keeping it all together and looking forward to the future.
Exactly, and given the amount of people that are here today out at Towergate Bridge, it's pretty exciting. It's not hard to get caught up in it all, but you're exactly right, what you said, Ramo, that we wanted to go back to where it all started and reunite not only to our supporters but our community clubs as well. We've got a lot of initiatives and plans that we want to re-engage the community clubs and really concentrate our energy into not only the first team but the whole club in general.
And the reaction seems to be great. I mean, you mentioned Steve McGree just before we started our interviews, just standing behind you. And again, you can probably gauge the reaction of the fans from Stevie's reaction to a lot of things, and he loves the shirt. Yeah,
well, Stevie, I mean, he's the most famous kit man in the world, and arguably the best kit man in the world. And when you see a smile on his face, he's either won a bet or something's happened to his London Broncos. So he certainly hasn't bet for a while. And it's just good to see someone that is the backbone of our club, that's been here since its foundations, is really happy and prouder than anyone at our club. So it just demonstrates and typifies that what we're doing is the right thing.
Spoke to a few of your players who say you're drilling them quite hard in pre-season. For a coach, how is pre-season? Is it hard going? Is it different? Is it new? Is it? I mean, how do you? The players don't particularly like it, I guess. But what about a coach?
Yeah, I can only talk from a coaching perspective. I don't really understand the performance part of it, but I know that they're breaking records or in-house records and training and raising that bar greater and higher than the session before. But from a coaching perspective, it was always going to be a challenge, Ramo, where we're going to have 17 new players coming into a program, and it's going to take a little bit of time to build that continuity. And it doesn't help that we had guys away on international duties. Joe Keys has been away for the Academy England side for the last week and a half. So they're things that we're just working through and aren't going to come to fruition until, the earlier parts, round 4s, round 5s, round 6s. 17 players is a lot of combination to get right. But as I promised you last year, Ramo, when I spoke to you, that I can't guarantee where we're going to finish, but I can guarantee that we're going to give ourselves every chance, because we're going to hit the ground running on the 3rd of November when we come into pre-season, and that's exactly what we've done.
How difficult is it to mould that squad? Because it's very new for next year, and like you say, you've got 17 positions there that you need to knit and bed in. As a coach, how difficult is that?
I don't think normally in normal circumstances, Ramo, it would be a really, really difficult and complicated task. But given the people that we've signed to our club and the experience and the maturity they have, it certainly makes the transition quite easy. And in fact, they're all bought in to the different philosophies or the new philosophies that we're working towards. So when you got that buy-in, you're going to achieve it. It just may take a little bit more time given the turnover of staff. So it's not a question of if it will happen, it's just a question of when it will happen in the way that we want it to happen.
And I won't ask you the ridiculously simple question of, are you still enjoying it? Because we can tell that you are. But what is it that you're enjoying about Broncos now? Because I guess every day brings a new challenge for you.
I just think it's the whole level of the approach from the backroom staff and the administrative staff, the energy that they have, the regular updates on the websites, the communicating to the fans and the sponsors, things that traditionally we weren't good at. And it's engaging to the community clubs, and it's having 60 or 70 supporters and fans turn up on a very, very cold day just to see our jersey launch, and that's what excites me. And if I can be driven by that and the players be driven by that, then the destiny's in their own hands, in the players' own hands.
And you mentioned that, you talked to me in the year and you said that next year, all I can say is that we will be ready and we'll be well drilled. I mean, is that the message that you want to send out for 2015, that the fact that this club is changed, is new, is different?
Yeah, and that's the overriding thing that we were trying to create at our club from, me taking over with the cooperation of David and Jason at the helm. And again, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. I'm not going to even start to predict where we're going to finish next year, because if that championship competition is going to be something special in itself, and on any given day, irrespective of people think that teams are going to finish in the top 8 or out of the top 8. If you go to Dewsbury or if you go to Workington on a Sunday cold afternoon and you're not mentally prepared, you'll get a rude shock. So one thing that we are going to do is we're going to respect every opposition, and very excited about the whole transition where the club is going.
Never fails to impress me, never fails to make me feel positive, and never fails to answer any of the questions that I'll put to him. Joey Grima, the head coach of London Broncos. Still to come, Richard Mathers, Ray Nasso, Andrew Henderson, Oscar Thomas, as well as the man behind the sponsorship on the front of the shirts for 2015. And I think, is that a 3-year deal? 15, 16, 17? I'm sure they see some potential in a possible return to Super League as well. More on that later on. Now then, to one of the on-field co-captains, Richard Mathers. It was announced in a handout that I'd been given whilst I was at Tower Bridge that the captaincy and the structure that they're having, I'd missed it at the time I was doing these interviews, in fact. But Nick Sliney, one of the on-field co-captains with Richard Mathers, Ben Farrow, the club captain, and a 5-man senior group, including Wes Nagama and Luke Adamson. But I spoke to Richard Mathers, arguably the most eye-catching signing for 2015. So I say sat him down, we stood up for a good chat. And this is one, in fact, that you probably should watch on YouTube, because every second of this interview, Richard Mathers is trying not to shiver. It was very cold, and he was in his new kit, so go and check it out. Here is my chat with co-captain on field, Richard Mathers.
Richard, first of all, how's pre-season going? Are they working you hard?
Yes, as always, they don't get any easier. I think someone said it was my 16th or 17th, and they certainly don't get any easier. But as all teams are training super hard at this time of the year, and we've got one more tough week to go, and then we get the Christmas break, so it's just like the carrot dangling there. But it's been really good. We've had sort of 6 or 7 weeks solid at it, lots of weights, lots of fitness, and it's been important because we've got 17, 18 new guys, all sort of forming together for the first time. So yeah, it's been good. Got lots of quality work. We've been at the mercy of the strength and conditioning staff for a while, but they're really pleased that we're at physically. So just looking forward to getting Christmas out of the way and getting the games going.
How are you enjoying the London experience? Because you've moved your family down. I saw your tweet saying you were moving house. I mean, how has the whole experience been so far for you? Yeah,
it was hectic, the initial move and sorting everything out logistically wise, but sort of not just saying it. I think it's exceeded my expectations. I think the environment professionally has been fantastic. It's been seamless. Joey and the staff are very organised. It's very black and white of what's expected of us, but London as a city, being blown away, probably blinking a little bit as a northern boy, but really come with an open mind and been told by various people to really enjoy it. And well, I've not been too tired from training, managed to do the touristy thing, but yeah, it's a fantastic city. I think again, sort of you see the potential of rugby league down here. The surface is unscratched really. So yeah, it's been good. Really embraced everything. Well, I've not been too tired, but yeah, it's been really good fun.
And obviously, you've seen rugby league in its heartlands. How does it compare being at Broncos? Is it what you expected? Is it more than you expected? Is it different? Yeah, it's different. It's different, I guess, that we're isolated.
You're away from the M62 corridor, if you like, where it's spoken about, and it's very much intertwined in everyday life. But I kind of like that because we've gone under the radar. Everyone's talking about your Bradfords, your Lees, and other sides, but we're going about our business in a good way, just sort of under the radar. But then I like that challenge off the field of spreading the gospel, if you like, and I think not just as a championship and with my Broncos hat on, I think as a rugby league man, as a Super League man, as a game, and I think got a responsibility to spread the game. And as I said before, I think it's untapped the potential down here. You see the corporate side of things, you see the sheer population. I think if we can get a successful Broncos side going week in and week out, and probably a blessing in disguise that we're back in the championship, if it can be a force, goes hand in hand if you're winning, gets bums on seats and interest. So I think it's, Joey said sort of the first couple of meetings really that we've got a chance to create a new legacy. There's a perception of the Broncos of years gone by, but now we've got a chance to create our own destiny and blank canvas, if you like. So yeah, really looking forward to getting started.
Did you ever think that you would have London Broncos on your CV?
No, honestly I didn't. I met Joey a couple of times and he sold it to me. I thought, to be honest, judging on years gone by, I thought, do I need it? I've been blessed and I've had a decent career, but the sort of sick, twisted side of me likes a challenge, and the challenge of getting the Broncos back in the Super League was certainly one, but also making a difference down here and helping sort of spread my experience. And I think not just on the field, but the infrastructure of the club and the young players and the young talent. There's unbelievable young talent, it just needs nurturing. So I think there's a lot of different factors that swayed it for me, living in the capital as a life experience, the challenge of getting the Broncos back in Super League, but also sort of spreading, as I said before, the game of rugby league down here. So yeah, I never expected it. Came completely out of the blue, but I've always been one for a challenge, moving to Australia and doing different things, and so far so good.
What was it that tipped the balance for you? Because I guess for you to go home one day and say, I think we should move and I'm going to go play for London. That must have been quite a big thing.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock. For the missus. But it was measured, it wasn't on a whim. I sat with Joey and the head of strength and conditioning for 4 hours at a hotel in Leeds one evening, and then I must have racked up the biggest phone bill between myself and Joey, sort of talking things through, and just his vision for the club and his philosophies and his principles really sold it to me, and the commitment of David Hughes as well. I think that's not got to be underestimated. I think the bloke's done fantastic wonders for the game in London, and I think it's, as I said, I think the word keeps cropping up is the potential of the game. I think you get a successful side winning week in and week out. I look back to the early Broncos sides where they had a base and it was always a tough place to come, and had some great names and a really competitive side. I think we can create that and create a legacy long from when I'm gone and Joey's gone, but 10 years down the line, that I think that side of it sort of really appealed to me, that we can be the flagship bearers and leave a good foundation for people to follow.
And what about the aspect that they were going to be in the Championship? I mean, was that part of the package that you thought, well, this is a kind of a blessing in disguise, and the potential is maybe greater for you to be able to come in and help them rebuild if they are in the Championship than if they were in, struggling in Super League? Yeah,
it did a little bit. I think the Championship thing didn't really occur to me until like 6 or 7 weeks down the line. I'd sort of agreed everything, and I thought, wow, I'm going to be playing the Championship. It was more the overall challenge. But I think if you look at it from a pragmatic point of view and a sort of a balanced point of view, I think it could be a blessing in disguise. Is consolidate back in the Championship, sort of find your vision as a club, get some stable footing, hopefully be good enough to get some wins on the board, and I think it's a process, and that's that again, going back to it, that's a challenge that really excites me. I think the Championship to me is not going to be a step down. I think it's going to be with the Super 8s, the standard of the teams that are in there as well. Perceived it might be a step down on the outside, but you look at how people are preparing and what's at stake at the end of the year for the top four of the Championship, the bottom four of Super League, and a chance to go back up. So it's another chapter, one I'm looking forward to.
And Joey mentioned once we'd finished the interview that you're going to be co-captain on the field with Nick Sliney, and Ben Farrell's going to be the club captain. A role like that as an on-field captain for you, I mean, how do you view that now as a position with Broncos?
Yeah, I'm very proud and very honoured. Joey spoke to me a few weeks back and said, would I accept the role? And I said, I'm really honoured to do that. With Nick Sliney, who I respect greatly as a. He's going to be our pack leader. He's not on the field all the time, sort of with the role he plays. But flattered that Joey thought, I'm going to be playing enough to take that role as an on-field captain, and I think that's part of a natural progression for me as a leader and a senior player. And really humbled. Really, I think I've been a vice captain at Wakefield, but it comes with the responsibility. It's not something I've taken lightly, and I spoke to Joey about that. I think it's a position that I'm really serious about. I've played under some fantastic captains, learned a lot about how they behave on and off the field and lead by example, and one I'm really looking forward to getting my teeth into.
He's really bought into the Broncos as Richard Mathers, and very keen to get going, and very quickly has understood what the club is all about. I guess particularly from those chats he had with the head coach Joey Grima, but looking forward to seeing Richard Mathers in a Broncos shirt and seeing what Broncos can do in 2015. And looking at the squad when they were all lined up, I'm sort of looking down and thinking, do you know what? This side could be a really good side in the Championship in 2015. And we'll hear the thoughts of Andrew Henderson soon. But I just get the feel. I mean, I don't want to sort of overplay the hype, but potentially this could be a really good year. Hendo in a moment will tell us, don't get carried away yet. We're still not really sure where we are. But I think there's potential there, and there does seem to be something around at the club that hasn't been there for a few years, and a little bit of confidence, a little bit of knowing that they are going to be confident and competitive. maybe one of the guys that'll help is Ray Nasso, one of the new faces from further afield. It'll be very important, won't he, in terms of what will happen in 2015. You may have seen him, of course, in the Rugby League World Cup towards the end of last year. So how is he fitting in at the Broncos?
A lot of new faces at the club, so it's been good. The boys have come together really well. It's been tough. The Eccles has been hammering us a bit, but it's been really good. Enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun.
And how have you enjoyed your time in London so far?
Yeah, it's been really good. A few of us have done a bit of sightseeing and checked out a few of us last week. I went to Winter Wonderland, and in Australia, we don't usually have this time of year. The festive season, not really used to the cold, but it's been awesome. Been exploring, going out a bit with the boys and stuff, so it's been really good.
It's a question that I often ask to the new faces that come here, but why choose to come to London Broncos this season?
This year especially, in July this year, I spoke to Joey, and just an exciting time. The club, they're trying to get back up to the Super League, rebuilding, got back to the roots now with the new jersey release, so it's all positive with the club. It's a good opportunity to be a part of that, and living to see London pretty good too. So.
And in terms of the season ahead, you're obviously being well drilled at the moment in pre-season.
Yeah.
The squad must have a high expectation of what they want to achieve this season.
Yeah, we've got we've set some standards that we want to meet at training and in the pre-season. So I'm sure when the actual game times come around, we'll be in a good position, and then hopefully make some new goals before season. We'll be strong force in the competition this year.
When it comes to you and your career, I saw you in the World Cup last summer. I'd say last winter, I guess it was over here, wasn't it? It wasn't warm at all. Yeah. But where does this sort of go in your career? Are you still trying to sort of achieve in Super League? Is that something that's on your list?
Yeah, of course. Coming over here now in the Championship, would love to hopefully progress to Super League. That would be a goal of mine. And last year's World Cup was an awesome experience, and now this is a new adventure, a new experience, and hopefully it'll be a bit of the same, have some success here, get a gig in the Super League would be awesome.
And you're obviously playing in a very pivotal position for Broncos. How are the partnerships going? Because it's all new, all very new in terms of the personnel in the team this year.
Myself and Liam played against each other and with each other a few times. So played in the same team and all that kind of stuff. So I know how Snork works, and got to combinations with Richie and Will and a few other halves. So it's good something to get the combinations at training, which will be working a bit more, but after Chrissy, and hopefully sort itself out.
And I'm going to have to get used to a load of new nicknames as well. Yeah. Snork is what you've called Liam for, is that right?
Yeah.
Where's that come from?
Oh no, just a childhood name. Have a look at his nose, it'll give you a bit of a hint. So that's his nickname.
Well, good luck with the season.
Thank you. No worries.
Short but sweet. Ray Nasso, the hooker for 2015 for London Broncos. And I mentioned before the thoughts that we'd hear of Andrew Henderson. I've chatted, of course, with the new assistant coach many times before. Now he's got to see, though, what the lads are like in pre-season. I thought I'd ask him how he feels about how they measure up. This is a very balanced interview with Hendo.
How are you enjoying your time with London Broncos?
Enjoying it. I'm loving it, to be honest with you, Ian. No, it's exciting. It's exciting times for the club. For me personally, it's great to be part of a blank canvas, so to speak. The club, obviously, as we know, had a little bit of turmoil in the last sort of recent seasons. But the great thing for us now as a group is we start with a blank page, and it's a whole new group of players and coaching staff and backroom staff, and there's just a whole new feel to the club, and I'm really excited, for what this club can start to build, and hopefully, bring some long-term success in the future.
Whenever people talk about your involvement with the Broncos, they talk about your experience within the Championship and how crucial that can be. Looking at these guys that you've got assembled for 2015, how do you think they're going to go in the Championship? How would they have compared in previous years? The season just gone, let's say. Yeah,
I think we've been pretty clever with our recruitment this year. I think we've sort of managed to bring in some players that have obviously had a lot of top flight experience. So, like your Wes Nagamas, your Richie Mathers, people like that. But then we've also brought in a number of players who are established championship players that know the division and know how it ticks, who are experienced at this level, as well as I think bringing up some of our young kids that have experienced a bit of Super League last season, which I think will put them in good stead and bode well for them coming into the championship. So for me, I think on reflection, the balance of the squad is very good. It'd be nice to be able to add another one or two through the year as we need to do, but at the moment we've got 26 players, and I think that's a pretty decent number for a squad going into a season. But for me, again, there's a little bit of the unknown, I guess, as well, to be fair, because it is, we are bringing a large number of new players to the club. So I think, traditionally most clubs will have probably a nucleus of their side will remain from the previous season, and you're adding, maybe 4 or 5 new faces to try and make the team better, whereas this is just, like I said, a whole fresh start. So it's exciting, but also there's a little bit of that unknown factor too. And I suppose for a number of the players, they've never played at this level, so that they're going to be unsure of what the standards like and the environments they're going to have to go and be played in, and how challenging it can be. And that's probably one thing I'll be able to get across to the players, that that it is a strong competition. There's a different brand of football that's played at times throughout the year. There's going to be some inconsistencies within certain areas of the competition that we're going to have to deal with. We're going to be faced with some certain different challenges as well at times throughout the year. So, but I think all the boys are starting to understand what it's going to be about, and preparation so far has been going really, really well.
But you mentioned that unknown factor. From what you've seen, this squad are going to be competitive, aren't they, in the Championship in 2015? And they haven't had they've had 2 not great years recently, but people are going to see wins this year, aren't they?
Well, I'd like to think so. I mean, again, you can never guarantee anything, but I'd like to think with the squad that we've assembled, the program that we've got in place from a training point of view, and obviously the luxury of being full time is going to certainly help us to achieve that. I'd be very disappointed if we didn't achieve a top 4 finish, so I think we're going to have more wins than not, because obviously if we're going to get there, we've got to win more games than we lose. So, which would be good for the fans as well. I think they need to see a little bit of winning rugby again, and then obviously after this year, who knows what's going to happen at the end of the year. Hopefully we achieve our goal of finishing top 4. We go into the middle 8 and give a good of account of ourselves, and then what happens at the end of the season, we've got to sit down as a club, as a coaching staff, and we've got to reflect and review on what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, and if we need to change a few things up for year 2 to give us that little bit extra edge to get us where we want to get to, then so be it. But like you say, and that's the beauty of it, we just don't know what's going to unfold, but we'll certainly know in 12 months' time where we're at as a club, and that's both on the field and off the field, and what needs to be done as part of our plan and our process to get us where we need to get to.
And as a club, I mean, you've obviously seen a number of other clubs up and down the country. You've been in an area like Sheffield where, it isn't the main sport within the region as well. What's it like? What's your impressions of the Broncos and how the club is set up and positioned to have success for the future?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, Ian. And that's something that, it was really important to me when I came down here, that there was going to be a plan in place for the club to have some stability and sustainability. And, I think our commercial manager and our general manager have been working extremely hard to put some foundations off the field in place for the survival of the club in the future. And that's what I'm really pleased with, that there is a long-term vision here. There's a long-term plan that the club has. It's not a short-term fix. We're very grateful that we have a fantastic owner in David Hughes, who's willing to continue to invest in the club and help us try and achieve the dream that we all set out to achieve as a club. But it's also equally important that we are putting some foundations and building blocks in place off the field, to make the club sustainable in the future, and that's what we're looking to do. So that was certainly one of the reasons that attracted me to come down here, because I can see that there is a long-term plan for that to happen. And then obviously on the field, performance-wise, well, that's down to us coaching staff to prepare the guys as best we can, and ultimately the players to deliver what we know they are capable of come game day, and achieve and I guess build a legacy now for this club moving forward.
The assistant coach for 2015 at London Broncos, Andrew Henderson, pretty much saying don't get carried away. But the signs are looking good. This side just have to gel, and we won't know that until the season starts in February. And everyone, I'm sure the players in particular, looking forward to getting stuck in, because they don't necessarily enjoy pre-season. Let's hear from one of them then. Oscar Thomas. People have talked about the youngsters that Broncos continue to bring through. Of course, he's one of them. Joining back up with the Broncos last year, and he's been talking to me about playing for Scotland recently, and also how he feels about the club and the direction that they're now going in. Here is Oscar Thomas.
You're in pre-season now. First of all, how are you feeling? Are they giving you a good run around?
Yeah, they've had us running around for a while now, so my legs are a bit iffy some days, but we're getting through it. The season's coming up soon, so it should be good.
How do you feel about your current position within Broncos? As in, last year, sort of rejoining, didn't you? And then you had a good sort of back end of the season, and you must be excited about what 2015 potentially could bring for you.
Yeah, definitely exciting. It's exciting times because we're moving on to some sort of new transition, going down the Championship. It'll give us more opportunities to sort of play the game that we wanted to play towards the end of back end of the last year, but this year's sort of like a new bridge to go over. So should be good.
You were recently away with Scotland. I think you had quite a few minutes, didn't you, on the field? How did that go?
I played 3 games, but it was just new to me, so it was a good experience to just sort of get out there, get to play the game that I've always wanted to. So it's been good. We getting out there, be Scotsman.
And how's Steve McCormack? He is obviously involved in the game, or was involved with all goals and involved with teams in rugby league down south. But how did you get on with him?
Nah, he's a real good bloke. I met him sort of the first day when I went up there, but ever since then he's been real good to me, real friendly and that. So he got me through 3 games.
What do you think ahead of 2015 then for Broncos? The squad must be confident and you must have high hopes of what you want to achieve as a squad.
Yeah, I think we're sort of aiming for top 4 definitely this year. As I said, we're supposed to probably take it every game as it comes and then see where it takes us, but definitely top 4.
And do you think the squad that you've got here and the potential and the talent that you've seen in pre-season can get you there?
Yeah, definitely players like Foran, Wes Naguama, yeah, definitely them sort of players coming over from Australia definitely give us the depth and the skill that we need to get there.
A year ago, pretty much to the day, this club were just about avoiding administration. I mean, did you ever think that 12 months down the line you'd be here lining up in the preparing for a championship season with Broncos?
Not really, no. At that time, sort of the players were going through a difficult time, not knowing where the money's coming from, not knowing whether they're going to be playing next year, but definitely now it's a good platform to go off from there, so it should be good.
And in terms of you, what are you hoping to achieve with this squad in 2015? I mean, regular first team action, is that sort of the main thing on your list?
Personally, I'm hoping some regular games, but I'll just take it as it comes, every game. Hopefully go out there, perform the best I can, and the team hopefully do the same thing. We'll see where it takes us.
And for many years, I've talked to many people who've come through the sport within the South and have come on to play Super League, to play top level rugby league. You're obviously one of them, but it's nice that how people don't generally talk too much about that these days, and that you sort of look past. This club produces the talent in the South, and they go on to do all sorts of stuff, and it is now part of the rugby league spectrum, isn't it? That this club and what they do.
It's good that it's got to a place where no one sees it as an odd thing. If a London player's playing for the team, they just see it as he's blending in, part of the team, that we should be there, instead of like an odd player just standing out.
And is the missing part of the spectrum a successful London team?
I definitely think it would boost the area, the profile for the sport, if the team done well either this year or next year. So it should be good. We'll see what happens.
Oscar Thomas of the London Broncos there. And to round off the podcast of this London Broncos kit launch for 2014, a chat with the area sales director of Towergate Insurance in the London area north. A guy called Mark Taylor, of course. Towergate Insurance, the new shirt sponsor for London Broncos. And I thought it would be interesting to hear why they are sponsoring the club. People talked about the potential of going down from the Super League being a negative in terms of the financial side, the corporate side, the sponsorship side. So they do seem to be doing fairly well, don't they? In fact, I tweeted on my way down to the launch that if there was one thing about seeing the new shirt, I knew in particular it was going to contain a lot of logos, because they've set up loads of shirt sponsors in various capacities, and loads of commercial partners, I think is the official way of referring to them. But here is a chat with Mark Taylor from Towergate Insurance about why they feel that Broncos, and why they feel now, is the right partnership for them. So your logo is right in the front of the London Broncos shirts. Why do we see it there?
Well, the opportunity came up for us to actually work with the London Broncos on a sponsorship deal. And whilst we've actually been involved in quite a lot of different sporting clubs throughout the whole group, for us at a local level in Milton Keynes, it was just an opportunity that presented itself, and we just grabbed it with 2 hands, really, so we're really pleased.
What is it about the
Broncos club that you like, and what are the things that you sort of saw and thought, this is a club we want to be involved with?
Well, it's a bit like Towergate back in, when we were formed in '97. It was a very small operation that's actually grown into something quite large, and I think what you've got is a nice club with a real good community feel, which hopefully will go places. I know they've restructured the team quite a lot over the closed season, and it's quite exciting for everybody, I think.
You mentioned that restructuring. They've obviously had a couple of tough years, really, in terms of on the field and their development. But it does seem like this club is now in a position that that they're well and truly climbing out of that.
I think so. I think last season was quite a tough one for the club, and Joey's come in, I think, halfway through last season to try and sort of like stem the flow of the tide, as it were. And he seems to have done a really good job. He's restructured the players. The team is effectively a whole new team that's coming into the new season. And as I said, for us, as a new sponsor, it kind of works quite well for us.
And did you ever think at any point, you say you've been involved with sports clubs, but rugby league, I mean, it's always one of those things that people talk about, being a northern sport and not necessarily being such high profile in the south. But I guess if the team are going to grow, is that something that you'd like to do with them?
Well, it is. I mean, we've signed up for a 3-year deal anyway, so for us, we want the club to go places. It's in everybody's interest it does that, and of course, the better they do, the better we do, which means we maintain the sponsorship. So yeah, it's all good.
And in terms of the club and next year, you're looking forward to seeing a few games and turning up, seeing what they can do?
Personally, absolutely, yeah. And we're fortunate that we've obviously been able to bring some of our existing customers as well and introduce them to the sport. So really looking forward to it.
So, I mean, in particular, you mentioned with things like that, this is just something that can definitely benefit the Broncos as well. All these partnerships are dual ways, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we can introduce new people to the club as well. And, what you find is with our customer base is when we take them to sporting events, sometimes they bring their children, so they could be the next generation of supporters. So actually, the whole thing works really well for everybody.
And just finally, just tell us a bit more about what your business does.
We're a corporate insurance broker specialising in general insurance with a national presence, but we hope a local feel.
Mark Taylor from Towergate Insurance. And that's it for Rugby League Down South for this particular programme. We'll do more as and when I can. Like I say, apologies for the delay in getting this programme out. It's been a busy week. Most of them are in my life at the moment. But if I ever do Broncos stuff, keep your eye on Twitter, at Ian Ramsdale on Twitter. We do have the Facebook page as well, Rugby League Down South. I do try and put as much stuff on there as I can, although it ends up not being too much. But we will do that, and I will bring you more podcasts in the future as soon as we can. Thank you once again for listening. Don't forget, of course, you can watch this podcast online. Nothing particularly spectacular in terms of the visuals, but you can check it out on YouTube. Search for Rugby League Down South, and I'll be back with another podcast for you very soon. Thank you once again for listening.